Hello. The usual monkeying around with the odds and ends. Beattie. John, the non-technician, the technophobe. Have we got things set up properly here in the studio for me to rant for a little while? Hopefully we have. As I look down, I look around. Looks okay to go. Thank you for tuning in. Those that are friendly, and those who are the enemies of our British history, our British heritage, our British Canadian history. If you're the enemy of our tribe, then why are you even bothering us? Why are you bothering the airspace clicking in? Why don't you just get lost? We're here for our people, our friends, our sympathizers, our supporters of the British People's League. This is the Dinosaur News, brought to you today, December 14th, brought to you by the British People's League. We have a good outline of the purpose of the British People's League, sort of fresh, on our homepage. So check it out, British People's League. Purpose. I think you'll be pleased. We've had a good response at the homepage. So what's up? Well, here we are. I'm looking around again. You can't win. It's daylight, and it just seems to lighten things up. That one time we did a show in the evening, and the lighting seemed to be better. But as I always say, I do a show when I'm in the mood. I'd like to feel obligated to financial supporters to do more shows, but the financial support has just dried up. Last winter we received enough to cover the internet bill, but so far this year pickings have been slim, so give a thought to donating. And then you put pressure on this boy to do more shows. Not in it for the money. I'm deliberately stalling the shows in between, so those who really want the shows, who enjoy the shows, well, you'll have to dig into your pocketbook and send us a contribution. There's various ways to do it as outlined on the homepage. Dinosaur News, here we are. What's the scoop today? Well, it's not pleasant, and I think a lot of people think I enjoy this doom and gloom stuff. I don't. On the upscale, the optimistic viewpoint is the fact that white people are waking up, but why should white people have to wake up? Well, it's rather obvious. December 13th, yesterday, in Washington, D.C. and across American cities, protests about black criminals being shot by white officers doing their duty. White police officers in the Western world are being put on the spot. They can't sit on the fence, because the black protesters are screaming and ranting and raving. White officers are being focused on. The spotlight is shining on white police officers around Western civilization, just doing their job. But no more sitting in the lunchroom being able to say, well, you know, we've got to integrate along with everyone else. I don't think so. Take Toronto, Ontario, for instance, the head of the police board. I don't know what kind of name it is. The colored head of the Toronto Police Board. And he made some cracks on Facebook, or one of the outlets, that the police, hinting that the police aren't caring when they're popping off black criminals. So he's under the gun from the head of the police union, who of course is a white officer. McCormick by name. I believe his father was the chief of police of Toronto a few years back. In any case, there's a sample of the white police being forced into a position, because prior to, a lot of them were just playing pussyfooting around with multiculturalism. Well, especially in the motherland in Britain, where I don't even like talking about this. Rotherham. Look up Rotherham on Google. Those that don't know, I don't know where you've been if you don't know about it. The massive rapes of young girls. And the police officers admit they turned their blind eye. They don't want to be accused of racism. And I'm not laughing out of joy, I'm laughing more out of nerves. They don't need to be accused of racism. They don't want to be accused of racism. Well, now it's being done en masse. Thousands upon thousands of black protesters yesterday in Washington, D.C. and across American cities pointing out that white police officers are being racist in their line of duty, when in fact they weren't being racist. But now, the overreaction by the black mobs has now pushed white police into a position where they have to be thinking of their race. Some guy wrote a book in the 60s where he pointed out that the color of your uniform will be the color of your skin. It sounded wild back then, but it's all coming true. It's all come true. A lot of Joe Public, white Joe Public, soccer moms, have thought nothing of the outside world. They're in their villages and having a good time with the soccer and the soccer season and hockey for their kids and their youngsters. Everything's just rosy. But now the racial issue is being brought home. You think that white officers aren't asked in the privacy of their living rooms by their wife, well, what do you think about all this? The blacks, the criminal black element, just blaming white officers for defending their own lives when trying to enforce law and order, which is their job. You think that the wives aren't concerned, and the officer himself isn't concerned in the confines of his living room? What do you think they're saying in the privacy of their homes? So it's not John Beattie, the white racist, anymore, or the great people with the different groups that I have linked to or discussed on these shows. The great League of the South. Now check out the exact address of Dixie dot lead, something like that. Check it out on Google. League of the South. They're great. And then in Britain, of course, our buddies, our pals, our mates, our chums at Candor publishing outfit. Outfit almost sounds too casual. They're a fine publishing organization, and they express great editorials. Candor, C-A-N-D-O-U-R, candor.org.uk, candor.org.uk. And of course we've got our British People's League here. So all three of our organizations need and like your support. Need your support, not just like it. We're doing this for you and ourselves, yes, to express our frustration. Candor does it through publishing. League of the South does it through pickets and demonstrations, and we do these YouTubes, Dinosaur News. It gets the tension out of our systems. And speaking of tensions, some of you will have no doubt noticed or caught on over the past months since fall that this boy had a serious medical problem. I'm very happy to report as of Friday, I've been told that the medical problem is on the path to solution, to successful solution, to recovery. So I just had to share that with you. Yes, I lost quite a bit of weight over it, etc., etc. I'm not sure how the voice fit in. I can't figure that one out at all. But getting the voice back as well. Okay, well, you didn't click in here about my personal situation. You didn't click in to necessarily even financially support these broadcasts, but we would appreciate it. The internet does cost money. And this boy is on a very limited pension, just the old age pension. And you've heard you've heard the story before, folks. Oil in the winter, we all have that problem, but particularly when you're on a fixed income. And I really don't have the money to spare to take out of my pocket to pay for the server internet cost associated with these broadcasts. Okay? So let your conscience be your guide, but I'm sticking firm. if there are not donations coming in, then these broadcasts will be limited. Okay? That's just the way it is. Anyway, I hope you're doing fine. I guess you're getting ready for the festive season, Yuletide, Christmas, whatever designation you place. And good for you. For those people who are separated or divorced or have had domestic problems, it's a particularly harsh time, that's for sure. And it's only a few days out of the year, and you just have to think about the good times. Think about the good times, and I hope it gets you over the season. But back to now the race war. Oh heavens, what a term to use, race war. That's hysterical, Beattie. There's nothing hysterical about it. Click in black protests or black marches, Washington. Just click in Google, Black Marches, Washington, December 13th. It's massive. And they're trying to parallel the so-called civil rights marches of the 60s, 70s, whatever. Yeah, civil rights for blacks. What about the civil rights for whites? Particularly those of British heritage. What about our civil rights? Party's over, we're going to fight back. And very fortunately, and if I say this a little bit sarcastically, so be it, very fortunately, the white police will now have to be targeting the black criminals more so than white patriots. Because in Britain, the white police officers have been giving white patriots a hard time to prove that they're not racist. The white police officers have been giving white patriots a hard time. So now, the party's over. Well, you can say, well, Washington, D.C. is a long way from, say, Bradford or Luton. Yes, but the parallel's there, isn't it? They all have television sets and internets in the motherland, and they see the black marches, and they're squirming. Well, white officers, welcome to our ranks. We'll welcome you, even though there's been a lot of abuse, a lot of lying in the courtrooms. But all is forgiven. You can come home to your white racial roots, to your Viking roots. And the Vikings did indeed do a lot of settling in the northern parts of the United Kingdom. The Viking blood will arise again someday. Is this all poetic nonsense? How's the time? We're doing fine. I have been given notes of appreciation when I get quite passionate on these shows. How many times can I sit here and just rant and rave? It's up to you to show support. When we get the financial support, the van plan is still there, even though we talk about a legal underground, such as in the Second World War. But by the same token, if the money came in, we'll get the vans. For instance, we would have this past weekend. There are enough young people with us who are sympathetic to the British People's League who would get into the vans. We would have gone down and picketed in front of the U.S. Embassy in support of the white police, in support of the American white police. That's what we would do when we get some funding. And we don't want much. We just need gas money, van rentals, hamburgers for the young people, and some beer and pizza on return. But believe me, it would put up quite the image for the British People's League, picketing in support of our American friends, our American white police officers, who again would never admit openly that they're friends of white racists. Well, the color of your uniform is the color of your skin, boys and girls, like it or not. Otherwise, there wasn't that much on my lips this week. From a positive standpoint, there are a lot many more young people joining the patriotic groups in Britain. A lot more young people. Facebook is exploding with young patriots. And there's been surveys, you know, they do their polls, they really play them up big when it favors them, but some of the international polls have found out that racism is indeed on the rise amongst young people. The multiculturalists were hoping and praying that when my age bracket croaks, that's the end of the white race, the white pride, our history, our ancestry, but it ain't so. Young whites are finally realizing that in 30 years they would be in a minority. So the kickback, the take back, the reclamation of our peoples, our history, our spirit, our soul is just around the corner. So to you young lads and lassies who have recently joined the patriotic ranks in the motherland, God bless every one of you. Here in the Dominion of Canada, well, we get lots of good hits and views from right across Canada. We've had a hit and view this morning because Google Analytics lets you see where the cities are. It doesn't tell you who the people are or their computer numbers or whatever like that, but it does tell you the cities that have clicked in and viewed. And from the farthest corner of Victoria, British Columbia, a small city near there, clicked in this morning. And then all the way across the globe, there's 2 hits from Moscow. Oh, whatever's going on in Moscow, maybe there's some patriots in Moscow. Wow. And we had a couple of hits from Peking. I think they're concerned because we were giving a pat on the back to the Hong Kong protesters who are fighting for freedom against the communist giant. And a message to Hong Kong protesters: sure, we're in favor of white people on these British People's League broadcasts, Dinosaur News. That's our main accent, of course. But that doesn't mean that we can't pat you on the back, you Hong Kong anti-communist protesters. Good for you. And contact this boy, BritishCanada@gmail.com, BritishCanada@gmail.com, and let us know how it's going in a more detailed report to me personally as to the Hong Kong situation, and we can broadcast your efforts on these shows. And the reason, folks, it's a symbol for we white people what the Hong Kong patriots are doing for their freedom-loving Chinese versus the communist slave camps where we can't avoid buying clothes from here in North America or in Britain. The clothing, everything. Slave labor camps in China. That's all there is, slave labor camps. Okay, the show is not here promoting the yellow race, but you get my drift. So there's nothing more fantastic today other than, again, this boy is just thrilled at the swelling ranks of young people in the motherland who are joining patriotic groups and loading up Facebooks with their pictures of their patriotic activities, and is it ever encouraging. Yeah, by the same token, yes, we're getting a few clicks, and we've got some great contacts in Australia. I sent off a sample of our YouTube to a patriotic group in New Zealand just recently, so the old children of Mother Britannia are still sticking together. Just checking the time. I put a little clock beside me, but it loses track. It's hard to do these broadcasts, you know. I might make it look casual, but when fiddling to get everything set up, clumsy boy here or something, I knock the camera off ahead of time or put the wire in the wrong place. And we're doing it, but we're doing it for you people. And I get it off my chest, but it's to give you people out there the satisfaction of knowing that we're here for you. And again, I may do a broadcast before Christmas. If I don't, have fun. Okay? Thanks for tuning in, and we'll get at you next time. And the next time all depends on when the contributions arrive. I've explained why. Bye for now.